I love your intro page, the virtual floral design workshop. It's very pretty. And where are you guys located? So where's Sacred Heart University?
We're in Fairfield, Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Hopefully everybody has their flowers all set up next to them. I know it's a Friday night, but we wanted to do something fun and springy now that the weather is getting nicer. So thank you again for being with us. We are joined by Mimi and Shilpa. Shilpa is the head of sales at Poppy Flowers. So I'm going to pass the room over to her. That way she can give a little intro and we'll get started on the class.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Shilpa. I am the head of sales at Poppy Flowers. We're so glad to be a part of your night. We're a small startup in DC, and the flowers that you have are from our farm in Ecuador. A part of our business is the Poppy at Home kits that you guys have now, and we also do wedding flowers for across the country. I'm sorry, you can hear my son in the background. But I want to wish all of you a happy Mother's Day as well for those of you who are celebrating. I hope you enjoy the class. Mimi's one of our best teachers. She's not only a floral designer, but also an interior designer. And so she really has an eye for beauty and to bring joy with flowers. So feel free to ask questions throughout the class, and this is your time to really learn and take a break and disconnect.
Yes. Thank you, Shilpa. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to meet you. My name is Mimi. I'm going to teach you, oh, look at this. My goodness. So I'm going to teach you how to condition flowers. That's how we're going to start. So hopefully everybody has their flowers in water they received yesterday, and they've had time to drink. You all have a vase. I don't know what shape. I don't know if you received a vase with your kit or you have a standard vase, but it should be filled 3/4 of the way. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and do it. I also want to say we've got a nice small class. So I think if anyone has questions during, while we're conditioning, at any point, if you feel that you need a little bit of help, just, feel free and reach out. I think this is an opportunity for everybody to let your creative self shine. A couple of things. So everybody have their scissors or their cutters. So I use different tools because I am a floral designer. I try to use something as similar. I can't use scissors. I have to use cutters, but I'm trying. Our vase, so there's like a couple of things that you can do to make designing easy. Like if you're doing your own thing, if, after this class, you may even go to like Whole Foods or whatever it is to do your own flower arrangement. But another, I'm sure you might already know this, but you can add tape to the top of your vase and sort of like a horizontal, vertical, 3 this way, 3 the other way, and that helps to support your flowers. But I'm going to show you how to create a lattice so that there'll be support for us to arrange within the vase itself. I also used, I don't think you can see it here, but I use a flower pin in here. So these are great because they're reusable. And I always like to have a little vase on the table because you might have some smaller pieces that are laterals, or if there's extra, you don't have to use all your flowers. We can use it in like a small arrangement. So it's hard because I don't see a lot of people. So at any point, if you want to like open your camera so I can see what you're doing or ask questions, please do. Okay, so we're going to start by conditioning our flowers. This one didn't do well. Sorry, my dog is, I should have. All right, so we're going to start with our roses, and this is your focal flower. So what you want to do when you receive your flowers is you want to take all the leaves off of it. So you don't want any leaves in the water because it creates bacteria. So I'm actually going to just pull them all out, lay them on the table, and hopefully you guys have like a bucket or your trash can close by. So I wonder, do we all have, yeah, I think it's just the one rose today. So I'm going to teach you some really cool tricks after we condition on how to reflex your rose so we can make it look a little bit wider. So this is what you're going to do when you buy flowers anytime. So any type of green that you have on any flower below, you don't want it to fall below the water line. And what this does too when you're taking off the leaves is that it allows the, once you snip the edge of the flower, it allows the water to move quickly up into the flower itself. So it sort of like stops the ability for your flower to condition when you have all these on there. And sometimes if the greens still look kind of perky, since we don't have a lot of green in our arrangements, I mean, we have the Solidago, but sometimes we don't have a lot of green. So I like to leave it because I just think it adds a little, you know, another extra element. But if they look like crushed or they look kind of lazy, then take them off. My dog is in the corner here. She has to be like right there. She's okay. So while you guys do that, I'm just gonna go through each flower. So this is your focal flower, your face flower. And then this is more of a, so this is like more of a lateral vertical flower. And this is larkspur. Really beautiful because it has a wild look to it. And I think I love the green on the top. So when this will add a little bit of interest and height to our arrangement. And there really isn't anything below the flower line. So I think it'll be fine because I'm going to keep these kind of tall. Now, typically, we didn't do this. You might have done this when you received your flowers. Typically, you would cut your stems on the end on an angle. And I try to do it on a sharp angle if I can. And sometimes if the stem sometimes is more like woodsy, then I'll cut it up the center a little bit to allow it to drink. But I'm not cutting them all now because I want to cut them as we go because we don't know what sizes we're going to do now. So if you just cut them a little bit on the end when you get your flowers, put them in water, and then you cut them as you go and you arrange. So typically you'd put flower food in here, but I don't want to step away from the camera because I left it on my kitchen counter. So we're going to make believe you got a little packet of flower food, and the flower food would go in the water. And I would put half, you could probably put a quarter, it depends on the size of your container, but you could put like a quarter of your packet in there. And then every couple of days when you rehydrate, when you condition your water and pull them out, then you want to change your water and then put the preservative in there. So I'm making believe that I did it. Okay. And then these are Solo Mio. He's pretty pink. So they haven't quite opened yet, but they will. They look like little paper, like it's just so pretty. Almost looks like paper, but they're really resilient. This is from like the carnation family. And this is a filler flower. And you'll see that there are a bunch of laterals. So these are laterals. These are like, you know, little side pieces on this flower. So most likely you're going to pull those off because it falls below the water line and it's going to obstruct the arrangement. So I just don't be afraid. Just hold it nicely, pull it off and put it in a little vase of water on the side. Like for now, I'm going to leave these. Let's see how it goes when I do the arrangement. But see, like these guys, that's not good. So you just want to pull them off like that. And if you have anything that you can save, put it in here because you'll find by the time we finish our arrangement that you might have a cute little petite bouquet that you can put in a small vase in your, like next to your nightstand or in the bathroom. So don't throw those flowers away. And then we have, well, I'm going to actually show you these guys. So this is Solidago. And I really, really love this. This is an amazing filler, super long lasting. We use this a lot for weddings as well. And it comes in, you know, a bunch of colors, but this is going to be great because this is going to give this arrangement a really nice, add a lot of interest. And this is going to act as a great filler and fluff up the arrangement a bit. So you can see there's lots and lots of laterals on there. So I want you to remove you know, whatever. I have to see if they're all the same. Yeah, so they're kind of full and bushy. So I would just take off a few on the bottom. So like imagine this is going to be in the water and I don't want all of that in the water yet, you know? So pull like a few off, keep it here on the side. You're not hurting the flower at all. And, you know, you can always use this as a little and this looks good. And these are nice. You'll see, like if I have, you know, little areas, you'll find there might be some pockets when we do the arrangement that we want to fill. So these pieces will be great because we can insert them on the corners. Am I going too fast? No? Okay. I'm looking at, okay. All right, good.
No, I think you're good.
Yeah, okay. Want to make sure everybody, there aren't a lot, usually we have a little bit more roses. It's nice that there isn't as much conditioning to do. So I feel like I could go at a good rate. Okay. I love doing this. This is like, when I'm doing this for large events, doing this for weddings, I mean, just imagine the scale and how much of this I have to do so I get my boxes. This is just one arrangement. You know, so I typically get my flowers like 4 days before the event and to receive them, condition them all. So I have hundreds of roses, you know, hundreds of ranunculus, hundreds. So all of this prep is really important to give longevity to your flowers. I mean, if you just stuck them all in the water, then that's what creates bacteria. If you're not managing them right and letting them drink the way they should, if you do this the right way, you'll have an arrangement for a week, even 2 weeks.
Mimi, what made you go into floral arranging?
Oh gosh. Well, believe it or not, I guess 20, maybe 20, my daughter's 25. So 23 years ago, I used to have a bath and body company and it was called Girl 28 when I was 28. So I created a bath and body brand. And then sadly, September 11th happened and, you know, I lost the business and the investor and all of that. So I had to start again. But I've always loved flowers and design. But there was a designer, you may not know her. Her name is, oh my gosh, now I just went blank. Ariella Shazar. And her style back then, so she published a book called Flowers for the Table. And it was like the first book ever that were flowers that looked like they were picked from the garden and everything was like super organic and loosey-goosey. And back then, all the flowers like really tight, you know, or it looked like something from, sorry, FTD, where it's just like sticking out all over the place. So I started, like I admired her and I wanted to do what she did. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do this. This is my next career move. So
you do that and interior designing. They probably go a lot together, actually.
Together, yeah. Like I did the flowers 20 something years ago, and then when I had my son, I was like, okay, now I want to do like I'm ready for the next level. So I wanted to go to school for interior design. It's like something I've wanted to do since I was, you know, young. But because I was married with kids, I was like, oh, I'll do the flower thing. So I did that. And then I got my degree in interior design when my son was baby. And somehow it like all came together. So I'm able to kind of do all of it. And still to this day, I'm still, wherever I go, even when I've been at a firm or I'm doing any kind of project that involves decorating, I'm the go-to girl for planning, for events, for design, for everything. It's me. Mimi can make anything look pretty. Call Mimi.
That's awesome. I love it.
So, you know, it's like it's a passion now. I love it. Like I'm just literally going to be 50 this month in a few months. And I just got my first tattoo and I got roses. Like I feel so fabulous.
It fits perfect with your theme.
It's me. Yeah. So anyway, I want to tell you about these flowers. So these are ranunculus. They're kind of tiny right now, but I promise you that they're going to open up and they look really great. So this is what a good ranunculus should look like. So the stem should feel really firm. You know, you might get them sometimes where the top of the head is like a little floppy, or the stem itself feels sort of soft or hollow. Not good. That flower's not. So these are so good. They're so perky, came right from the farm. Beautiful, nice and firm. They're not flopping over. So you'll see all these like bunch and bunch of little petals. This is going to be double the size. It's going to be really beautiful. So this is going to be your like your decorative, your wow flower. You know, I always like to add this at the end. This is what's really going to make your arrangement look finished. So just make sure, like this one, this has this, you know, green below the water. You just want to take them all off. And I think if you have these little babies on there, these little laterals, be really careful with this flower. So, you know, hold it as close. Don't do this and pull it. Don't hold it from here. Hold it close to where you're going to pull, and then you can remove it. Or use your scissors. I don't hope you have sharp scissors, and just cut it really close to the stem, because it's going to fall in the water line and we don't want that. So if as pretty as they are, they're too tiny and they might get stuck. So I'm taking them off. I might keep that one. I don't know. So see how that's like, you wouldn't want to put that in the vase. There's no way. We're going to cut the flower, and it's just going to, that's going to cause bacteria, and it's going to prevent your other flowers from going in to the arrangement the way you want them to. Okay. So these are what your ranunculus should look like, nice and clean. Solomillo, nice and clean below. And I can see you're still conditioning, so I'm going to give you time to do that so that we can all be at the same pace. And, you know, I'm not cutting them, like I said, because when I received the flowers, I gave them a little snip. I want to keep them long, so I don't have to compromise the position of the flowers when I put them in the vase. Like these guys, this might. So on your larkspur, these are really pretty because they're so dainty. A lot of the time, you know, they might come fuller, or there's more of this like bushy green falling below. So you could just pull them back. I'm just going to show you an example. Don't be afraid, like just, you know, pull them back. You want to clean it. But for the most part, these look really great. I'm just going to take off the first flower on the bottom because I want it to be super clean. I don't want it to hit the water. Okay, I love that. This particular bunch has this white and has all these purple, so this is going to add some nice interest. I love it. All right, my solomillo. Okay, so the solomillo, if you pulled off the laterals, that's great. Make sure there's no green below the flower line. I'm going to keep that there. So you see how nice and clean that looks now? It's going to be really easy to use them. See? Okay. Now, I should have done this. So when you're doing your flowers, I forgot to mention, I hope none of you have poked yourself. Please forgive me. So the roses, like I said, you remove the greens, but they're going to have some thorns. So you can either take your pointer finger and your thumb and pull it back or push it forward. So it'll come right off. These don't really have many, but so pull them up or push them off with your thumb. Imagine when I'm doing weddings, and I have some where like literally the greens have like little pokey thorns on them, and my hands, oh my gosh. So thankfully they have like great tools for floral designers when they're doing this stuff. How are you guys doing? We're gonna be ready to start our arrangement soon, but I'm gonna take a look at my flowers now, and I sort of, I get these kits and they're always different. Everybody picks, has a different design in mind. So thankfully we have a bunch of really pretty kits that you can buy, but I never know what I'm gonna get each week. So I have to think about it. Think about how I'm gonna design this when I do this. But I'm gonna say I really love that we have this flower because this is gonna really be a great base. So when you're ready, because I can't see anybody. So if you can tell me how everybody's doing with conditioning and tell me when I can start.
It looks like everybody might be in a good place.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay. So like I said, hopefully your water will be filled 3/4 of the way. These flowers, so a lot of the time we have lots of roses and roses drink a lot of water. So you'll find in a couple of days that although your water is filled 3/4 of the way now, in a couple of days it's going to be down to here. So that's why I want you to fill it up as much as you can. And then when we're done with the class, I'm going to show you how to carefully remove the arrangement so that you can clean the water out, clean the vase out and replace the water. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a lattice. So we want this to kind of be this way in between here, right? So we're going to make all the flowers sort of come together so that we create a base for all of your other flowers to stand in there. So you don't want to go directly like straight into your vase. You sort of want to go on an angle every time you insert, and then you'll build up. So right now we're just creating, like I said, we're creating a base and something that will secure the rest of your flowers. So we have, how many of these? We have 5. Okay, so I'm going to start with this, because typically I would start with greens when I'm doing an arrangement. So the way you measure how you're going to cut, now this really all depends on you and your aesthetic and what you like. I don't want to see a lot of the stems. So for instance, a lot of people will just cut it and leave it like this, and then all you see is stems here. I prefer not to do that. I want to see flowers. I want to see this here. So basically, I like to do, so you can take either, probably put your vase at the edge of the table and then measure. Let's see. So it's usually 1.5. So here's 1.5. It's going to be hard for me to do it. How about we do this? We go sideways and hold your flowers outside the rim of the vase, and then you can cut based on that. Maybe it's easier for you on an angle so you know where to cut. And keep in mind, this is like, it's like a haircut. Like you wouldn't want the hairdresser to just like cut off all your hair. If you're not sure about a new haircut, you're going to say, can you just go slow? Because we can't go back, right? So I always cut a little, see how I feel. I think that's still too tall. So I can take another inch off. And like I said, make sure you cut at an angle. And so I still think that's too tall. I want to make it shorter. Okay. So really what I'm just going to do now is I'm just going to create, I'm going to do 3. So I'm going to do 1, and I'm going to go the other direction at an angle, cut it the same size. If this is helpful for you to just put them together, that's great. Like maybe I should have started with the roses, but let's see. All right, so I did the front one a little shorter. So basically I did 1, 2, and 3 in the front. You're just going to sort of create a triangle. And just make sure that your greens are not touching the water. You see how there's so many laterals in here? I'm going to take one off. And you really don't know until you cut it, so. So now I'm going to add, so this is this is like my focal flower. And so you'll see on the flower that there are these petals on the perimeter that look like the flower is dying, but it's not. So these are called guard petals. So they just protect the interior of the petals. So from bruising or breaking or tearing. So if you feel like, sometimes I keep them on because it gives it character. I don't know if you can see it. And like this doesn't look good. This almost looks like a dead flower. So I want to pull that off. So don't be afraid. And the way to do it is put your fingers inside the flower and then pull it off. And just spin it and see what you feel. The other way, these roses aren't completely open yet. They're still soft enough where I can, you know, sort of direct guide the flower the way I want it to go, but I'm going to blow into it. So it opens the flower a little bit. And if you want to open it more, you don't want to ever touch the edges of the petals because you're going to bruise them. So you put your fingers in between. So put your fingers inside and twirl your flower and just make sure it's inside. You see how it's opening my flower? And I'm not ruining the flower at all. I'm sort of forcing it to open because, but now it looks more like a garden flower. You can also.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
Hey, it's Alice. Hi, Mimi.
Hi.
So does that prolong the length of like the life of the flower by doing that? I don't know if you can see me. I think you said you couldn't, but.
Now I can see you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So like, does it prolong the life by blowing into it, or are you just doing it for aesthetic reasons?
No, I do it for aesthetic. I'm pushing it open. I'm trying to get it open because it's going to take a while. Like I want to enjoy. A lot of the times the roses will just be so close and tight and people don't know. They're afraid to touch it.
Right.
So it creates it open. See how much more space. So now it makes it look like a garden rose. It's filling more of a space. And I'm actually enjoying the beauty of that flower. But most people don't know that because that's a trick for, you know,
Professionals.
Yeah, we know to do that. But now you know.
Okay, thank you. That's cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I wanted to show you a trick that you can do with your petals too. So you can pull them back. Okay, so you take your pointer finger and your thumb and your middle finger and you sort of like click it back. And I'm going to show you this. Just twirl it and you can carefully do it. You can be gentle. Turn, keep turning it. It's like every other petal. And this is just to show you what you can do with a rose and you don't even know it. So keep on spinning it and carefully pulling back the flower. Sometimes you have to do every other petal. You know, some people do this, some people don't. Some designers have like, this is their signature thing, but look. Some people really like the way that looks. So, but you see what it does is it fills up a really big space in your arrangement too. So, and also it could look like you have two different roses in there. So it gives you more depth in your arrangement rather than just having, you know, all of these guys the same in place. So see how that, so you can choose to or not.
Hey, Mimi, can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know if you can see my roses. Okay. So you had mentioned like taking off some of the leaves, but I happen to like the greenery.
Okay.
By bunching them up tight like this, like does that like choke them in any way? Oh, okay. So like again, you're shortening the life of your bouquet if the greenery is too tight.
Yeah. So
Okay.
like sometimes you'll get your bouquets, right? And they're all wrapped up and they've been wrapped up like this and all that moisture develops inside the green. And sometimes you open it and it's kind of moldy or that causes mold, right? So you might find that some of your petals are bruised or they're brown. So you want to give them a little bit of air. So when they're too tight like that, it's okay for a little while, but the point is to allow them to drink. So when you don't take off all those greens, you don't have to take them all off, but you don't want them in water because that creates bacteria. And you want to give them enough water to drink. So by preventing, if you have all those leaves on it, you're sort of preventing that by happening. And the top of your head, the flower might kind of tip over a little bit, get like lazy. So if you like the greens, that's fine. Some people just want to do that. We don't have greens in this arrangement. So for you, that might be something, you know, and like I said, I leave it like this looks good. Like it might not be bad. I like to have a little bit of green outside. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so I'm kind of like, I'm going to start with my first flower. And so now we have 3 here. So sort of like a triangle. And what I want to do is fill in each area. So I kind of want it to be here in the center. So what you'll find right now is that they're still kind of going straight in. As we build this arrangement, we'll be able to loosen it up and bring them out. So don't worry about that right now. So cut your first flower and let's see. I want to kind of guide you on how to, if you want to measure against your vase, and if you feel like on the table is a good way to do it, but it's usually 1.5 size the vase. Now, I don't want it that tall. You might want it that tall, and that's really up to you. That's your own design aesthetic. I like it to fall a little closer to the green and to the vase. So I'm going to spin that a little bit, turn it, and then there's another opening. So it's almost like every other space you want to fill in with a flower. Now I'm just trying to keep my workstation clean. So it's the same. And if you feel that you want to measure, because now, you know, you can do that. It doesn't have to be perfect. They could be a little higher so you have some high and low. So there's one side and I'm going to go in on an angle on the other side. I'm going to spin it. I'm going to add another rose. And like I said, if you want to open up your flower a little bit, take your fingers and put them in between, like you want it to be inside the flower so that you're not bruising your petals. You can use your finger and, you know, softly just pull it back. And if you're uncertain about what to cut, just cut it slowly and then you can go back. Okay. So now I'm going to do, I want to do, let's see, I'm still creating a lattice. So if you can see that they're all sort of like this, they're all coming together. And that's creating a grid for you to add the rest of your flowers. Okay. So looking. Okay, so I'm going to go a little lower. I want to add a little bit more interest around here. So we've done 1, 2, 3, and there's a grid. I'm going to cut it again, and I'm going to go a little shorter. That's me. That's up to you, the direction that you want to go in, but you still want to go on an angle. And this time I'm going to go sort of as close to the green as possible. So see how it's sitting on the edge there? I'm going to spin it. I'm going to do another one in here. And I still have green on this, but because I'm cutting it shorter, I'm going to take this off, but that really is, like I said, that's up to you. You're going to go in at an angle, so I'm spinning it. Going at an angle. Okay. And then I'm going to go again right here. I feel like I need another flower there. And if at any time I'm going too fast, just let me know. So, you know, it's hard for me. I'm trying to design this like by looking at you and looking at the camera. So you might find that I'll turn it and like look at it, which you should be doing too. You know, turn their vase around, play around with it, see what makes you feel comfortable. You can always manipulate your flowers, like pull them out a little bit so that they soften up, because now you've created a grid. You can play, now you can do that. So my style of arranging is really not so symmetrical. Like what I'm doing here is just giving you a base so you can start to put in all your other flowers. I like to do things a little asymmetrical but that's up to you. You might want it to be all the same size, so you'll cut all the flowers the same size. You can cut them higher, you can cut them shorter. It's really your taste. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in and I wanna add some interest in here. So I'm gonna take the solomillo and I'm going to go in right here. So again, at an angle, but what I'm doing is I'm filling in a space and I wanna create more interest now. So just let me cut it first and I'll tell you how. So I want this, I'm gonna cut this a little, so you'll see now that because you have a grid there, if we keep cutting it at the same size, then it's just gonna be straight. I wanna bring it out a little bit. And so the goal is, oops, to continue to go on an angle. So I've cut this stem a little shorter so I can bring it in and it sort of stands out a little bit. See how it's sort of sticking out? If you don't do that, it's gonna go straight up and you're gonna lose the flower. So I'm just trying to bring in some new color, a little more texture. So I'm cutting it at an angle and I'm doing it a little shorter than the others so that I can go in and sort of allow it to come out this way. Now I'm going to put one right in the front. Spin your arrangement. So you can do 1, 2, 3, and that's an easy way to remember. Continue 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I just did 1, 2, 3. And you'll see wherever there's a gap, there's a hole. See how it's going in on an angle? You might have to hold the flowers so they don't move because you've already positioned everything. But I sort of wanted to sit on the edge of the vase. So not straight in, you want it to sit. Okay. So I'm kind of playing around with them a little bit. Now I feel like I need something right here. So I'm going to add another rose in there. Is everybody doing okay? Yeah? So I'm going to go a little higher, right? I want this to show. If this helps you to bring back your vase and measure, you can sit it against your vase and your flowers, and you can cut it on an angle and then insert it. Now, you'll feel when you go in there, you want to go right down the center. You see how that's created a grid in there? That's what you want to feel that. Now that's too, if it's the wrong size, here's another trick. If you put it in there now, I think that's way too high. I'm not going to pull it straight out because it's going to destroy the grid that I created. So I'm going to twist it out. Twist it out carefully. And then you still have your grid intact. I want it shorter. And now I'm going to go right back in the center where I was. Okay. So I did it sort of in the middle and pushed it over to the side. I'm going to do one more here. And do the same on an angle. And straight down the middle, but I've got it a little bit at an angle. And you'll feel it. Like, because I want it to stand in that spot. Okay, see how that grid, it's standing there. That's what I want. Okay. So now I have a little bit of high, I have a little bit of low. I'm adding a little bit of color in there now. All right. So now I want to create a wider shape. Let's see what I want to do. Hold on. Yeah, and I like movement in my flowers. I don't want them to be stiff. So, and I also want it to come out a little bit more. So maybe I want a little height here, come out a little bit on the side. This is the perfect flower to do that. So I'm going to leave this kind of long, cut it on the end. And again, go on an angle because I want to sort of create a line here. So see how I'm going in and follow the direction of your flower. Like I like when you see how it's sort of drooping on the corner, but I want it to be bouncy. So there's one. And I'm going to create a shape. So let's say I do another one here because I want to see some movement down here. Going in at an angle as always to, I think that's too high. So I'm going to twist it out. This one is a little longer and this one's a little shorter. Okay, so now I've created a shape. Okay. And I always like to do things in odd numbers. So it would be like 3, 5, 7, and it always looks much better when you do things in odds. So I really love this beautiful, it's full. I'm going to put this right there. So 1, 2, 3. So basically you've created your shape. Going to the, is it your right? My left? Okay. There you go. So you see, I like that there's some movement. It's not really tight. Now, let's see. I sort of do this as I go, so give me a minute. All right. So I don't like that these flowers, there's no interest there. There's no color. So I do over here, but I don't on this side. So I'm going to add some solomillo here. I still have one left. I cut it short. And like I said, look at your arrangement. You can also pull it out a little bit if you don't want it so tight. Okay. Now I'm going to use my solomillo. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. How are we doing with timing? Does anybody have any questions? No. Okay. All right. So let's see.
So is it true that you can use sugar if you don't have those flour packets,
Yes.
that it's the same thing?
Yes, you can use sugar and a little bit of vodka.
Oh, I mean, both at the same time?
Yeah. So you could do like a little teaspoon of sugar and like, you know, a little teaspoon of vodka, put that in there.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Some say you shouldn't waste your vodka on that, but
Well,
hey, if it makes my
sugar
flowers.
and then put it in there. It's funny. Okay. So I personally, I mean, I like my flowers to have a little bit of high, be asymmetrical, and a little bit of low here. So I'm trying to create a shape, and I'm going to do that with my solomillo. So I'm my solomillo. Sorry. This is solomillo. This is not. This is. All right. So this is too long. It's going to be in the water, so I'm pulling it out. This is Solidago. Sorry. And, you know, because our grid, like I said, we're trying to position flowers, you can always move them around. Don't worry about, I have another solomillo here. I mean, I keep saying solomillo, it's Solidago. And I want to see my flower arrangement come out that way. So I'm going to create that shape on this side. You can pull up your flowers if you're not comfortable with the way they are. You know, I have sort of like, I'm stacking them a little bit. You can pull it, see how there's 1, 2, 3, like play with it. Position it where you want to see it. Now you can because you've created a grid. Come on, baby. Okay, so now I'm just creating like height and shape here. I want to give it, like I said, this organic, wild looking shape. Oh, hopefully that will come back to life. I'll stick that in a little lower. So I want to see it. Like I said, I want it to look like a wild arrangement, and I like all the heights. So I still have some roses. I'm going to put in some ranunculus. This is a really special flower. And this I really, okay, so you'll see the color next to it. Like I want this to sort of come up behind it. Just a beautiful accent of a flower. So keep these long. Don't cut them too short because you want to age as you go. let's see, I have it just a little bit taller than my container. I want to see the flower. Like this is my superpower right here. Love it. And when you're manipulating it and trying to get it in the vase, do it as close to the bottom as possible. You don't want to manipulate it from the top because it is delicate. So always do it with 2 hands and push it from the bottom. So see how pretty that is? Look at her, she's saying hello. Hi. So that's what I want to do. I want it to sort of come up and out like it's sort of, you know, she's introducing herself to everybody from all the wildflowers. And I like to keep them up and out. And, you know, I always like to overlap them. So I might do 2 on this side. See how it's moving and they're bouncing, which I really love. Spin your arrangement because you might, you know, want it, you don't want it to be one-sided. You want to be able to put it in the center of the table and you can see it just as beautifully from every angle. So now I'm going to go on this side because I feel like it needs some color. It needs some pretty over here. But I love, look how beautiful this looks like. So you have this sort of stack over here, this beautiful fuchsia, this melon color that matches my jacket, and then the solomillo. But I just love how this looks over here, and it's bouncy and it's beautiful. So I'm going to actually keep this one up and out. So I'm going to keep this pretty tall. I want to see this. And like I said, you can manipulate your flowers. So if they're falling in the vase because you've lost your grid, just carefully pull them out. Now I still have a couple of roses. You don't have to use them. Like I'm not going to use this one because I always like to have a little something for my side table. So I'm going to put that in there. And then I'm going to create a cute little thing later for me. Oh, Abby, I'm sorry. So just take a look around your arrangement and see where, you know, I want to fill in this spot right here. I don't want to see that. So I have to cut this a little shorter. It's going to go on an angle and I'm going to fill in that spot right there. Oh, there you go. And it's bouncy and my arrangement's finished. And, you know, play around with it. I don't know if it doesn't feel right for you, or you want to cut it a little more, or you want it to leave them long. It's your arrangement. Okay, so I'm done. But I also have these little guys. I don't know if you guys have all this solidago. So you can always use this in a little vase. I like to do that. So I'm going to put that in there and just cut them. And looky, look. So now I have this cute little arrangement for a side table if I want it. And there's my arrangement. How about yours? Oh, that looks so pretty. Everybody, oh my gosh, you guys did so well. I love it. So I want to show you one last thing. I think, so I mean, if you guys have any questions you want to ask me, but to maintain this flower arrangement and give it life as long as possible, which I'm sure you want to do and enjoy as long as you can. I'm going to take this out. The way to change your water without disturbing the arrangement itself. So you're going to take your, maybe, oh yeah, you guys want to take pictures of everything before we do it? It's not going to ruin it, I promise, trust. So you're going to grab it with both hands like this, cup it, and pull it just from here. So you're just going to cup it like this. And just pull it up, hold it in one hand, done. And then you're gonna empty your water, right? And then change your water and literally right back in the vase.
Mimi, how often should we be doing this?
So I would say, like, you know, because you see how we cut all the flowers, like it goes long to short, short, short. So it's going to drink a lot. So you'll see in a couple days that your shorter stems are not touching the water. You might see like this has been in water for a couple of days. It's getting cloudy. So maybe every 2 days.
Okay.
Because you want to add water to it. Fresh water is always going to keep it lasting longer. It's going to keep it perky. But what's really easy.
Is it better to add water or to always just change and start fresh?
I mean, I think it depends on the way the water looks. I mean,
Okay.
it might still look like this in 2 days. Then you can simply move them this way, like just position them this and pour a little water. But really, you want to keep the water as clear as long as you can. And so another thing, if you grab them like this, it's not going to change what you've done. You can just hold it, clip the bottoms. So that's going to change your arrangement. Fill it with water and literally just grab it and move it back into your vase. And then drop it. But you see, I did that 3 times and the arrangement is still the same.
Awesome. Thank you. And yes, everybody, if you wouldn't mind turning your cameras on, we'd love to see everybody's arrangements, and I'll take a quick photo. I'll give everybody a chance to get them set up.
Do you know what's so great? What I love is that people, no matter what, like I've given instruction, but everybody's eye does, like we all do something different, which I love. So your creative person is still coming out in such a different way, even though we have the same flowers, we talked about the same thing. I think it's amazing.
And everybody's flowers look great.
They look amazing.
All right, I'm gonna snap a photo. Is everybody ready?
How do you switch screens?
I don't know.
Just put the flower arrangement in front of your laptop, Chris.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, you could just hold it up.
Yeah, I'm trying to do it with my phone and see if there's a flip screen button. There we go. That's better. It's not.
Perfect. All right, ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Beautiful.
I love all the color in this arrangement. It photographs so well. It looks so beautiful.
So maybe can I ask you a question about flowers that you get as a gift, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes they come in that green foam, like, you know, that
Yeah.
block.
Yeah.
What's the best way to do it? Like, should you put water at the bottom? Should you soak the thing, or should you like eventually take it out and put it in like a vase with clear water?
You know, once they've cut it and put it in Oasis, that's called Oasis.
Mhm.
I mean, that's another way to hydrate, of course, the flowers. And when you're doing an event or something, it's just, or a lot of deliveries, sometimes it's just easier to put it in Oasis because it keeps it stable and hydrated. Really, I wouldn't take the flowers out. I mean, unless there's flowers that are not making it through the shelf life and you want to update it, but you really just want to water the Oasis itself. So the Oasis is what's going to soak in the water. And typically if you go on the top of it, it's not going to soak in fast enough. It's probably going to spill out through the sides. So just try to pour water in it slowly in the Oasis and it'll soak in.
Okay.
A lot of the time they tape it on there so it doesn't move. So you can't take it out unless you take all the tape out.
Right.
So you either have to just water that. If you can take the tape out, then you can take the Oasis and sit it in water and then put it back in your container. But really the idea is to get that block as saturated as possible. That's the water source to the flowers.
So I swear, last question before you start to charge me extra. What about like hydrangeas, right? So much like on TikTok is about, you know, people who get them and want them as a bouquet. Like, is it true that you stick the flower in water, not the stem?
Yes, you can do that. No, I stick the stem in water, but there's a trick. But if you want to say they're a little droopy, like you could do that with roses too. So sometimes they come a little like this. It wasn't hydrated properly, like you can see it. So you can submerge them in cold water and let them stay there for a little bit and then cut them. But a hydrangea, they drink a lot. They don't like the heat. They drink a lot of water, and they have sort of, it depends. Some of them have like a stem that's like branchy, and others don't. But the way to do it is to cut it as much on an angle and then cut it up the stem. So I'm going to try to do through the rose, but like literally, I don't know if you can see. Cut it up, because what you want to do is get it hydrated as much as possible. And you fill it up with water. That's it. That's how you hydrate a hydrangea. They love to drink. So you might have hydrangeas in your garden. Take all those greens off the bottom. Sometimes they have, you know, like a layer of green, then another down here. You want to get all that out because you want it to drink. Cut it at an angle, cut it in the center, and then set it in a lot of water. My first wedding ever 20 years ago, my bride wanted hydrangeas in her bouquet. I didn't know. I was like, didn't know. So I gave her and her bridesmaids hydrangea in the middle of the summer after the ceremony, and they were going to take pictures, flopped. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you that, I mean, I've done a lot of weddings in my career. I think hydrangeas are beautiful, beautiful fillers. They're beautiful in masks and vases. I will never do one in a bouquet because they have to always be hydrated, and they don't like the heat. Yeah.
Yes, most definitely. You know, hence the reason why that didn't come in your bouquet. But yeah, I think it's great on TikTok and on photos, but it's not made for real life.
No, they don't travel. Like, you have to see, even when we get them as floral designers, they come wrapped in a big plastic full of water. So we have to unwrap all that with rubber bands. I mean, they have to always be hydrated. It's so important to have a dependable like flower, because you don't know what the result will be the next morning. You know, that's it. Yeah. I love
you.
these colors. You're welcome. So it's 7:59, guys. We did exactly 1 hour. Did you guys enjoy yourselves? It's so hard when I get no feedback. Did you like it? Did you learn anything that you didn't already know?
I learned a lot of new things
great.
personally, and my mom loved it too.
This was fun.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
That makes me happy. Happy
Yeah,
Mother's
Mimi-
Day to everyone.
Thank you so much for
Thank
doing this
you.
for us on a Friday night. It was so much fun. It was something different for us to do. And I don't know if Shilpa's still on, but she helped us put this together. So we're very grateful for Poppy
Fun.
Flowers, and hopefully everybody else learned something new as well. We would love to see your finished pieces. Please tag us on social media. Feel free to email them to us, and be on the lookout for some future fun events. But in the meantime, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, and have a great weekend.
You guys enjoy.
Thank
Now
you,
go have a
everyone.
glass of wine and enjoy your beautiful flowers next to you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Thanks.
Bye.